So today I will be gluing up a cutting board. As you can see, I have cut and milled all the pieces from rough cut lumber, who I got from my friends from the old Geneva store up in Geneva, Florida. Wonderful place. I have here some black walnut. This is called hard maple. If you do zoom up, you can see the grain, beautiful. So these are all cut 3/4 by 1 1/8, and the final dimensions of this cutting board are going to be 18 inches by 12 inches and about 1 inch thick once I run it through my planer here. So this is a edge grain cutting board. This is the edge of the wood. This is a face grain cutting board. Edge grain cutting boards are the best kind of cutting boards that anybody can have. And it keeps your knife sharp. Actually keeps them, if you did a face grain, it dulls the knives. Anyway, enough talk about knives. Let's talk about woodworking. So now that I have all these pieces cut, I'm going to spread them out like this. Okay, and then what you want to do is you flip each edge down. This is going to be a lot of glue. As a woodworker, you can never have enough glue and also never enough clamps. As a beginning woodworker, I always, when I went to Lowe's, I would pick up a clamp or two with each trip I went to Lowe's. So you take your glue. This is a Titebond 3. It's the best type of glue to use for a cutting board. So you want to put a little on here. A little streak. Same thing. And you don't want to put too much glue because there is a such thing as too much glue. The wood will not, it will not adhere to each other correctly. You're essentially what it's called is drowning the wood. You want a nice even coat. And you want to be careful not to get glue on your nice table saw. So you take your handy dandy glue spreader, as I call it, and you just evenly put it over the surface. You want to ensure the glue is on every part of the piece of wood. And this can be a process. But the more time you take to make sure there's enough glue on there, the better it's going to be. Probably could have put a little more on there. So as I'm doing this long process here, I wanted to kind of give a brief rundown of how I got started in all this. So my father, he was a construction worker his whole life. He owned his own custom kitchen and trim working business. And he basically taught me everything I know, sort of my woodworking skills and knowledge about woodworking. So that's essentially where I got my original passion from. So after high school, I went into the construction business. I worked for a general contractor building houses and doing all kinds of stuff. I did that for about 10 years. After that, the business kind of went a little sour, so I decided to go back to school, and I pursued and I got my nursing degree. So I've been a full-time nurse for about 4 years now, and now I do this as a hobby. And doing this hobby is a very, very good stress relief, I've come to discover. And just because I have knowledge about this and I know how to do it doesn't mean that you can't learn and you will not be able to do it. Anybody can do it. In some future videos, I will show you what I started out with, what tools I started out with, what some of my first projects were that can be accomplished with some of the most basic woodworking tools, and then you can slowly work yourself up to more complex tools like this table saw that we're on here now, and then this planer that's right behind me here. Of course, those are they're more expensive than your basic hand tools, but if you slowly work your way up, you'll be able to get them. Okay. Now that the glue is all spread out, all we're gonna have to do now is just flip every piece back over, because we already pre-laid this out. And what I have under here, these are called coals, and I'll show you what these are going to be used for. It's essentially going to help keep the board from preventing it from warping. This. And my statement about the clamps, I'll show you that you're always going to need a bunch of clamps. This is the second part of the pole. It goes on top like this. What you want to do is, this is what I've always done, and it's always worked out fantastic for me. I'm going to put your clamp like that, lightly. You never want to apply too much pressure all at once. It's an even pressure. Rack of clamps that I have here on my workbench. A little tricky part here. Now there's 100 other ways you could probably do this, but this is just the best way that I found works for me. Using the most basic clamps and tools. There's better clamps out there. Like I said, there's better tools out there, but you don't need that stuff to create something beautiful. What you want to do now we have our coals on here. This keeps the boards flat and even. You're going to take your clamp, and you're just going to apply a little pressure. You're going to start seeing some glue come out. That's good. You want to work your way on both ends. And I'm barely even applying any pressure here. You're going to start seeing some glue up out here. And what I need to do is take a rag. Spray bottles always come in handy. I'm going to get this excess glue off of here. I got this from Lowe's, about $3. There's water in here. Okay. And then a couple of clamps in the back here. One day I will build a clamp rack. That is in my to-do list. You'll notice when you start off, you're always like, well, I need this to do that, and I need this to do that, and it's true. You know, sometimes when you're working on a project, you realize you need another tool. So that's another trip to the store, but that's also more money. So you learn to work around that kind of stuff. And once you have the money to buy that tool, then that's great. It makes the job go quicker. But you can do it without it. And what I'm doing here is just evenly applying clamps, so I have one. So you want some on the top and some on the bottom. And again, I'm just putting a little pressure on each. You don't need a lot. As long as your cuts are nice and square and straight. I'll have another video of how to do that as well, to cut rough cut stock lumber. I'm not talking about material from Lowe's or Home Depot. I'm talking about, you know, your local mom and pop shops. The lumber does not come smooth. That's pretty much Okay, and you want to take your rag. Just want to wipe some of this excess glue. And if you're doing what I'm doing, you can see I'm doing this on my nice table saw, but you want to put a piece of cardboard underneath. And that's it. And that's how you do glue up on a cutting board. Next video we'll show how to trim it and round the edges with a router, and the project will be done.